In this video,
Wilma and I are going to attempt to discuss and explain the culture of the Philippines and how it affects people.
that's going to be a hot topic.
All right, so here we go. Wilma and I, Building the Philippines, is going to attempt to discuss the culture of the Philippines.
Are you sure you want to discuss this topic?
I think so. I mean, not all of you are going to agree with us on everything we're about to say. What is our take on things? And we've been here now for 3 years, so we're learning as we go. I didn't have a lot of experience on how to build a house in the Philippines. Now I do. I thought I knew a lot by visiting the Philippines the 4 times before I decided to retire here. But they were all vacations of about anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks long. And I thought I knew everything. And boy, that wasn't true.
No.
So it really does take time. You need to have boots on the ground and take time and really immerse yourself and do as much travel as you can as well. We did quite a bit in the very beginning as we were looking for land, and it was valuable to us. And of course, Wilma grew up here, but spent 28 years
In the U.S.
in the U.S.
Yeah.
So she really pulled herself away from the Philippines. And for those 28 years, only visited here 4 times because she was busy, working and, raising a family and taking care of me. So we wanted to discuss it, and we want to try to explain it the best we can. So what we're going to do is Wilma and I sat down and discussed the topic, and we have a lot of things we want to discuss, but we want to make sure that we don't miss anything. So there's probably going to be breaks in this video. It's not going to go typically straight through because we want to gather our thoughts and make sure that we say everything correctly.
Absolutely.
So what is culture? Let's talk about that. What does culture even mean? People talk about it all the time. You watch videos and you see thumbnails about the culture of the Philippines. So let's try to break it down just by a definition, or at least the definition the way we understand it. Culture is a way of life of a group of people, customary beliefs that's passed down from generation to generation, how things are communicated to those generations throughout the years, and also through imitation. So people see things throughout their life, and they go to school, and the environment plays a factor that all shapes culture. But I think there's something else that's very unique to the Philippines and where it's located. We say the West, we say the East. So we are in the East, or specifically Southeast Asia. That's really been throughout the centuries a hub. So the Philippines has been exposed to many different countries.
Different, yes.
And that has really shaped the culture of the Philippines. So China played a role, Japan, even Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan.
Spanish.
The Spanish
Yes.
came much later than the Americans. So there's been a lot, and a lot of it has to do with trade. A lot of it had to do with war. But the influences not just adjusted the culture, but changed religion, for example. There's been a lot of different religions that has come to the Philippines over the years. For example, like in Mindanao, southern Philippines, there's a large concentration of Muslim community. The Spanish brought Christianity, and then other countries in the area brought Taoism or Buddhism, Hinduism. So there's been a lot of influence there, and that all has changed the culture throughout the years. All right, so now that we kind of talked about what is culture, and then some of the influences that was pressed upon the Philippines throughout the ages, let's get into the nuts and bolts. Let's give it a shot. So the Philippines is a developing country. So that's just a nice term for saying it's a poor country trying to get better. That's just a simple answer. So how does that affect foreigners? And this channel is Building the Philippines, so it's about building. So a lot of our responses is going to be about the 10 percenters.
Yes.
People who are looking to retire to the Philippines as a foreigner, more than likely married to a Filipina, worked in the West all their lives, saved up money, decided not to stay in the West, like Wilma and I, moved to Southeast Asia, the Philippines, and settled down. So number one is you have to realize that as a foreigner, we're a guest.
You are just a guest there.
I'm just a guest. You're not a guest.
No.
You're a dual citizen. So that's so important not to lose sight of that. And I'm talking to myself now, not to lose sight that I'm not a citizen of the Philippines. I have limited rights, if any, and I am on a 13A marriage visa. So I'm allowed to stay here for the next 5 years.
For as long as you want.
Yeah, but the 13A visa.
You are a permanent resident,
I'm
but you just have to renew it every 5 years.
Your ACR card every
Yes.
5 years, yeah. So I'm a permanent resident, but I have a visa, permanent visa, which gives you some rights. But don't lose sight, talking to myself, that I am a guest. So number one is, can a bunch of foreigners that move into a country, even though it may be a developing country, can we change the culture? The answer is no.
No.
And we shouldn't try to. And it's very hard sometimes. And again, I'm talking to myself here. It's very hard here because I see things that I totally disagree with. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I always remind you that just try to go with the flow.
Yeah, be patient and go with the
Patience,
flow.
yes.
Because this is not my country. I'm from the West, i.e. USA, New York area, and things are done just simply differently there. Things are more modern, and the government is much different, the culture is different, and you immerse yourself here in a developing country, and to be honest with you, it's like going 3 steps backwards. But you have to be okay with that. So I visited here 4 times before I decided to retire here. So there's tip number 1. Don't be the guy who watched some of these videos, other YouTubers, us, and say, oh, wow, the weather is great. Cost of living is fantastic. Look at the coconut trees in the background. The ocean is close by. Oh, I can rent a home very, very cheaply. Oh, look how beautiful the girls are. Just go on and on and on and say, I want a piece of that. Don't be that person. Come here and visit. Maybe visit a few times, stay as long as you can to make sure
It's for you.
it's for you. Because the first thing I want to say is we do know quite a few people that have come here and they don't like it.
Yeah.
They can't adjust, and they sold their home, they sold their car, they quit their job, resigned from their job. Maybe they're already retired. Maybe they are still working and then just decide to leave their job. And they come here and they go, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And then you do hear say, oh, all these YouTubers are out there making everything sound so fantastic, which in a lot of ways things are, but a lot of ways things are not. So hopefully, again, in this video, we'll be able to get into some of those in a little more detail. All right, so let's get into the weeds a little bit. Let's get a little granular. So let's talk about money. Foreigners come here, they have a retirement, they have a nest egg, they have a finite amount of money. And just like Wilma and I, you're trying to settle down and have a nice life. Doesn't matter if you build a house or buy a house or rent a house, doesn't matter. But you're here. So you hear all the time that, and we talked about it on our channel many, many times, there is a percentage of people here that try to separate you from your retirement dollars, and how we talk about the skin tax and how unfair that is. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive into that topic. Okay, deep dive into money.
Oh boy.
The root of all evil. So here in the Philippines, there is no safety net set up, unfortunately, for Filipino citizens. So unlike the West, and I can only make reference to the United States, where there is an overabundance of safety nets, good or bad. One can say that safety nets is a good thing, but maybe having too many safety nets creates an ungrateful and lazy group of people. One can argue that. So let's get back to the Philippines. Here in the Philippines, virtually no safety net. So that shapes the culture.
Yes, unfortunately, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah. And that's unfortunately true. Again, we're talking about the vast majority. We're talking about the people in our immediate area. They live without question,
Day by day.
day by day. What little money they make is what they use for the day. Give you an example. First example. When we bought this property, there was a coconut tree that was right on the property line. You could say that 50% of the tree was on our property, 50% was on our neighbor's property. So I asked the question because I don't know. That tree really should be cut down because it will be leaning over where the house is going to go. What's the process of getting it cut? And they said, well, if it's on your neighbor's property, you really need to go to your neighbor and ask permission, number one. A coconut tree going rate in this area is 1,000 pesos to pay that neighbor for the tree. So you pay the neighbor 1,000 pesos, about $18 for the tree. Then you go down to the barangay and get a permission in writing and pay a small fee, 20 pesos?
20 pesos.
You pay 20 pesos, what is that, about 35 cents for a permit to cut the tree. So Wilma went to the neighbor, told them that that tree was going to be leaning over the house. We will give you 1,000 pesos for the tree. If you give us permission to cut it, we'll take care of getting it cut and cleaned up. We'll run down and get the permit, make it all legal. And I even had Wilma draw up in paper saying, I, Wilma, and we had the neighbor's name, agree to sell. So basically we got a slip of paper saying that we paid for it and had them sign it and date it. So there was no controversy, and they did so. And the reason why I tell that story is, and you didn't know that I was going to say this because we didn't talk about this.
No, this is a long time ago.
1,000 pesos, $18. The person was so happy.
Yeah.
The lady, who's about my age, has two daughters, right?
I think so, yeah. 2
daughters. Called the daughters up, who don't live here, and say, we just sold one of our trees. A foreign neighbor just bought it. I'm getting 1,000 pesos. Come to the house. I can share this good fortune with you. And was able to give 333 pesos to one daughter, 333 pesos to the other daughter, and then the mom kept 333 pesos for herself. And was like it was Christmas morning that they actually got this money.
Yes.
And the family members came up to the home right away to get the money. What a story.
It is.
And isn't it a little sad? A little bit sad. So that's why we keep an eye on our neighbors.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about where, we all hear about the skin tax, and I've done videos on it and about how we get overcharged. And, guys, I have to learn that it's part of the culture. It's not going to change. And if you don't want to get taken advantage of, know what things cost and just don't allow it to happen. Move on. But at least, hopefully, we explained, at least to our satisfaction, as to why it happens. All right, so another item as part of the culture here that if you're going to retire to the Philippines is the slow pace of things.
Slow motion,
Wow, that takes a lot to get used to.
especially from New Yorker.
Yeah,
It's always on the go.
yeah, it's really hard. I struggle with that the most. I think I've really slowed down myself a lot. But once I get involved in a project, it's go, go, go. And it's very hard to change my culture from what I'm used to. But I have to understand the way things work here. And it's very, very frustrating. So there is a YouTuber that we watch from time to time. I'm not going to mention the name because you probably can't believe that someone like myself would watch this YouTuber, but I find him extremely entertaining. And he's kind of the opposite of a 10%er. He's a 90%er. And he goes around the Philippines just having a good time. And he uses the term, and I think we can use the same term, and it's not malicious, but his term is, they just don't care. And he says it, so well. And he raises the pitch of his voice. They just don't care. And it's just hilarious. And there's a lot of truth to that. And again, it's not meant to be malicious. It's just part of the culture. So things take time. It doesn't matter what it is, soup to nuts, anything to do with building, business, government. It doesn't matter. We always make a joke that we're going to go out and do 3 errands in one day, and people say, that's impossible. I remember a long time ago, we did a video called the 6 Errand Challenge, where Wilma and I tried to, tempt fate and do 6 things in one day, out and about. And we said we were not going to stop until we did it, because you might need to go get a gallon of paint, and it may take 10 stores to go to throughout the greater Dumaguete area to get that gallon of paint that you need because they're out of stock. That's an example. And why are they out of stock? They don't care.
I don't care.
So, and again, guys, they do care, but we're just trying to make light of it to some degree. It's not malicious when I say that. It's just trying to bring a little levity and, just trying to change the mood a little bit. Here's a great example, and Wilma doesn't want me to discuss this, but I'm still going to bring it up. We're out to a restaurant with some friends a while back, and it was probably the top 5 restaurant that we've been to. Top 5. We've been to a lot of restaurants. So say out of 100 restaurants that's within 40 minutes of here, and if you go to Dumaguete, there's lots of restaurants. It's top 5. So it's upper end of the scale of restaurants. And this person ordered a shake. And there was a fly in it, but didn't know there was a fly in it because it was buried in the shake. So the person's using a straw, and 3/4 of the way down, sees something dark in their shake. Or when I say not 3/4 down, 1/4 of the way down, still 3/4 left. Looked and said, oh my God, there's a big fly in my shake. And called over the waitress. And the waitress took the shake, took a spoon, pulled out the fly, threw the fly on the ground, said, sorry, ma'am, and put the shake back. There you go, here's your straw. Just like it's nothing. And this person said, no, I don't want it. I don't want that. You can't give it back to me. It has a fly in it. And we're all watching just with our mouths open, going, that would never happen. The manager would come over and apologize of the restaurant, and you'd probably get a free appetizer and you get a new drink. So the person said, no. I don't want that. I don't want that drink. Take it back. So they went and made another one and then charged her for it. So she got charged for 2 shakes when she only drank 1. And why was that?
Don't care.
They don't care. So, yes, we're making a light of it, but it's just the attitude here. Take it as it is. Things take time. If you think that you're gonna move here and just march through things and get this done, get that done, so many people come and visit us. We meet people for coffee. We go out to lunch with them, or quite a few of them came up here. And, they sit down and say, okay, well, we're going to do this, 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 and this is the timeline. And often I try to say, double your timeline. And then I'll come back and say, no, it doesn't work that way with me. If things don't happen a certain way, I'm going to, make sure that it does. You have zero chance. So you just have to understand that it's part of the culture. Things take time. And why does things take time?
Don't care.
So we wanted to do this video just to do our best to give you guys as much information as possible, because again, we're trying to reach out to our audience, 10 percenters, and people who are thinking about moving here. If you're already here, you already know everything that we're talking about. You've already experienced it, had a positive experience or maybe not so positive. You've learned from some of the issues and you've moved on and gotten better for it. So really what this video is aimed to do is to reach out to the person who has not been here yet, or maybe been here a couple times in the way of a vacation and has really not immersed themselves in the day-to-day life here over extended amount of time. You need to be on your toes and just understand the way things are, and you just have to deal with that. Because if you come here, like I did, with your Western mind, you will have issues. And I think you can say that as well from being both here for the first, 20 years of your life and then moved to the U.S. for so many years. So what's your take on it?
Definitely, growing up here and then moved to the U.S. for 28 years and coming back here to retire. It's I can see the difference. Before I don't know the difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But now I can see it.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to do a video with some of her friends who have spent a minimum of, I think, 15 years, I think it is, up to 30 years in the West, and then turn around and retired back here in the Philippines. So just like Wilma did, there's about 4 or 5 ladies that we're going to get together, and we're going to do a video exclusively about how they feel about retiring back to the Philippines and all the adjustments that they had to make over the last couple of years. Because all of these ladies have retired back here in the Philippines, I think all between 6 months to 3 years. When we've been here 3 years, so we're on the high end of it. So I think that's going to be a pretty interesting video. Get a Filipinas take, because we're always talking about how the foreigners come to the Philippines and immerse ourselves into this culture. This video is going to be how these Filipinas have to adjust and immerse themselves back into the Filipino culture, and how difficult it was for them, for each and every one of them. So I'm very curious what you guys think about this topic. Again, we're just trying to arm you guys with some information. As we always say, information is good knowledge to have. Knowledge is power. It could help you in not getting taken advantage of, where so many people have. Maybe it'll help you in your mindset that you just have to realize that when you get here, things are going to fall pretty much the same way as many of us have explained. Things isn't always beaches and bikinis. It does rain here once in a while. It's just not always perfect, but yet the good far outweighs the bad. For all the challenges out there, Wilma and I have no regrets. We are enjoying our retirement, though we do have issues from time to time, but we always seem to overcome them.
Yes.
And I think it has a lot to do with common sense.
Yes.
And really understanding things and not jumping into things too quickly. Seeing a piece of property and just buying it right away, or just making those real quick decisions. We take a lot of time and do a lot of research before we pull the trigger, and I think that has helped us. I think street smarts is also very beneficial. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make your retirement life here much more pleasurable. So hopefully this video was worthwhile to you, and comment below what you think about the differences in culture between the West and here in Southeast Asia, the Philippines.